All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? It is New Year's Eve, and we are excited to come to you today. I'm going to make the talking short because the video is going to be a little bit longer than normal, all right? So what we're doing a video on today is how to add an MLS listing, all right? So some of you experienced agents, this is something you guys have done a lot, but this is geared more towards our newer agents. So guys, if you have never input a listing or you have done a couple of them, and you're just kind of still nervous about what to do or what to put and where, I'll show you in this video real quick. All right, so let me share my screen with you. I've already started inputting a listing. I haven't gotten too far, so I'll start kind of where I left off, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's check it out. All right, so let's see here. All right, add a listing. So what I do when I have a listing or I'm going to add a listing is I have my pictures ready to go here in Dropbox. I got the MLS up where I've already started adding a listing. I have my file up so I can check my listing dates, my expiration dates, my prices, and just make sure I'm squared away on the MLS and it reflects everything on the listing agreement. You always want to make sure those reflect if there's any auditing purposes or anything like that throughout the office, and those things don't mix up, or they do mix up, like your listing dates or your termination dates, whatever. That's stuff that can get you in trouble down the road. I always have my property appraiser so I can get my parcel numbers, my legal descriptions, the whole 9 yards, see what, when, and where. And I also pull up an old listing, kind of see what, some of their numbers. You never want to go off an old listing, but it never hurts to be able to make sure that your numbers line up in the whole 9 yards. I can make sure my parcel ID numbers are correct. My legal descriptions are all the same as for when I input it. All right. So it's never a bad thing to get these things populated on your screen before you start adding that listing. Make sure you're ready to go. It'll save you some, a few minutes down the road here. So what you do is when you're first inputting a listing, I've already got to that point, but I'll show you real quick. You hit menu, you're going to go to add listing. All right. So when I go to add listing, the first thing that it's going to do, all right, so when I'm on my MLS menu, add listing, boom, it's going to bring me here, all right? So I've already put it to residential property. I can go to residential income, land docs, the whole 9 yards. All your choices are there. Listing agent, you just start typing in your name. It'll populate. You click on it. If you have a co-listing agent, you do the same thing. Address, as you can see, I put in the address. I started putting in everything. Once you get to Palm Beach, you put in Palm Beach, you can actually hit populate tax data, and it'll populate all the correct information from the property appraiser site. It doesn't really save you much time, but you don't have to, do the parcel ID, all that stuff, to make sure it's correct. So super simple. So then where I left off was main field. So you can see I have my expiration or my listing date here. So if I go to my listing agreement, I can see that right here, 12/28 is my listing agreement. And then I can see back here, 6/28, that is my termination date. All right, so all my numbers are matching up. All right, so I have it being active. If I want to make it coming soon, I can, but this property is ready to go, so I'm not going to make it coming soon for that nature. This is not an auction. Here's my list price. This is not an owner agent. When you populate tax data, other things populate. It's not just under the address section. It'll populate the owner name. I never like to put owner name with my listings. I always put withheld. There's no reason for them or anybody, for instance, to know my owner's name. Here's your commissions. All right, so 0.1% for a non-rep, 2% and 2% for a buyer's agent and a transaction broker agent. All right, so no bonus. Everything in red you have to populate. If it's not in red, you don't have to populate, but hey, the more you got, the better. So listing type, you have a couple different selections. This is always a big question. So exclusive brokers with, exclusivity. So I always do exclusive right with EX. So it's kind of one of those things you never really run into. If you usually EXRT with EX is always a good choice. You go to lists office agency, always transaction broker. Variable due rate is no. We don't do that in Florida. Type is going to be a single family detached. No governing bodies. I do not have an HOA, but if I did have an HOA, it would be right here in this section. I click HOA, condo, the whole 9 yards, but none here. Main level bedrooms. I have 3 bedrooms, main level bathrooms, 2 bathrooms. You can see it already populated from the tax data, 2 full baths. It did leave half baths blank. I don't have any half baths in there, so I'm going to put 0. Property condition is resale. Generally 99.9% of the time, it's going to be resale. Year built already has in there, so that's 1969. So just FYI, anything older than 1978, you will need a lead paint disclosure. Builder name, we don't have to select that. Total square feet, you can see property appraiser from populating that tax data already populated the living square feet and the total square footage. So I'm not going to touch that. Square footage source, I'm actually going to click tax rules. There's some instances where, you know, your seller might have added on a Florida room or anything of that nature. But you can, let's see real quick. You can put in, say they added something that hasn't reflected on the property appraiser site yet or whatever the case may be. You can actually put in owner or other, something like that. So if I wanted to change this number, I can. Generally don't, because you want to portray what's on the property appraiser site. But like I said, there's instances where it hasn't updated yet on the property appraiser site if they added a room or whatever the case may be. So you can change that. Gated community, no. Garage spaces, 0. Homeowners association, none. Here, if you want to put years roof installed, you can. It should save a question from a buyer's agent, but chances are they're still going to ask that question. No HOA monthlies. You can see if I do put in mandatory, those change to red. So I would have to input those values, but however, in this case, there is none. So no association deposit, membership, none. Directions. So I'm not going to write in all this stuff while you guys are here on the Zoom, but this is where I'm going to put in the directions. Do not put use GPS. I know we're all going to use GPS, but unfortunately the MLS will not accept that. It'll kick back your listing. Already has a subdivision in there for populating tax data. Already has a legal description. Already has lot square footage. Lot dimensions are not in there, but that's okay. It gives you the square footage. If you want to add lot dimensions and you have those values, go ahead. Waterfront, nope. If you do have waterfront, even if it's, I mean, if it's a lake, if it's pond, that's still waterfront, technically. A lot of agents, it's up to you. A lot of agents will not put waterfront if it's just like a pond or something like that. I mean, use discretion. If it's a tiny, tiny little pond in your backyard, no, it's not waterfront. If you're on a canal, if you're on a good sized lake or something in a country club, yes, that is waterfront, okay? So you will want that to populate. Front exposure, you're gonna wanna know what the front exposure is. So just for that, you can go on to, let's see, you can go onto your property appraiser site and I can just click this, or I can zoom out here. I can see this is the front of the house. My front exposure is going to be west. Yep, west. Super simple. So for that, I'm going to put west. Private pool, yes or no. Pets allowed. That's more like this single family detached. So yes, pets are allowed. But you don't really, if you're in a condo or something like that, you're going to need to put yes, no restrictions, find out those restrictions. However, there's none here. Pets on premises, no. Total floors, no. That's 1. Your location, tax, and legal, you can see that already input. Residential, tax year is this, and this is the taxes. My buyer, or my seller, excuse me, are investors, so that is not reflective of homestead, so I will notate that in the listing. No special assessments, and this is not a short sale. Boom, boom. Real estate owned. This is not a foreclosure, so I'm going to put no. HOPA, Housing for Older People Act. This is not a hopper. That means 55 and over. Elementary school, middle school, high school. You can input those values if you want. There's a cool site. I think it's niche.org or niche.com. Generally, what I do is go schools near me, and then it'll come up with, let's see, niche, I think it is. And then I can come in here and I can actually input a value. Actually, let me do this. I'm sorry. You go find schools near me. And then there it is right there. So here, sorry about that. So Google, find schools near me. It'll come right up to the first page of Google. niche, you click this. And then what I do is I can enter an address here. So I can do 5889 Bimini Circle East. And this gives me the values. I click on it. And right here, it's going to tell me all the schools. All right. So you have Indian Ridge School, K through 12, virtual, elementary school, their high school, their middle school, the whole 9 yards. So I can just input those values into my listing. They're all drop downs, super simple. Provides one more value for a selling agent to look at. Any broker advertise, this is up to you guys. If you want agents to be able to, or other brokers be able to push out your listing, you would click yes. If you don't want any of that, you click no. Another big thing for this is if once you sell this property, if you have any broker advertise, somebody can list it, not list it, excuse me, but say it was a sold. They do have to notate that you sold it, but however, they can use that product to kind of make it look like they sold the property. We all know how that works. I always do any broker advertise. Listen, at the end of the day, I want to get the property sold. I want to get it sold for the highest value I can and in the quickest amount of time for my seller. And if that requires another agent seeing it and bringing a buyer, then that's what it takes. I'm not trying to double side every deal here. So I always do any broker advertise. Again, it's up to you guys as agents, your discretion. Public remarks. It's going to be the area where I input all the values, okay, of this is what's so great about this house, you know. So you got up to 800 characters. This is what you're going to see when you're on the MLS. This is what you'll see here down at public remarks. So that's the section you kind of go to see, all right, does this thing have impact windows? What are the extras included with this property? Broker only remarks, I usually put simple, make it super simple. If there's really cool additions, new roof, new everything, I'll put new roof, new AC, new this, new that, text listing agent for showing instructions. It's just somewhere else for the agent to see how they show that property. Details is next. You click that tab. This is all the sections where you're going to include what's, I'm not going to do this because it'll take too much time, but this is the sections where you include the values of the house. All right. So construction, everything like that, everything in red is needed. Okay. These features right here, you don't need to do. However, like I said, the more you do, the better. Just creates a better listing. Remember, guys, this is a reflection of you guys as a business and personality as well. So I don't like listings like this, for instance, the old listing. This is not us, but I do not like listings like this. There's no public remarks. There's barely, you can see like nothing's really included in here. So it's kind of a weak listing in my honest opinion. So the more you have, the better, just a reflection of you guys. Once I input those values, I'm going to go to rooms here. It's going to want the dimensions of all these rooms. So living room, I'm going to enter the length, the width, and then the level. I'm going to do the same thing for the kitchen. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the master bath. Once I do that, I can go to photos and boom. This is where, so when you first input the listing, submit the listing, you're only going to add one photo, okay? So here I'll choose anything and it's going to be on my computer. And then from there, I just choose a picture, cancel out. I put a description, front elevation, and then boom, I'll hit broker distribution. Everything, once you complete section 2, you can hit next if you want instead of hitting the tabs. This is going to show where this is going to, so you don't really want any seller opt-outs. You don't want that checked, but this is going to show on Realtor.com sold data, South Florida property match, and your Zillows, all that stuff. I always have those clicked. If you guys don't want it on Zillow, uncheck those. That's up to you guys. All right, so once those inputs are once those values are input, what I'm actually going to do, if I want to back out and I don't want to actually submit this listing yet, I'm going to hit save and complete. But the majority of the time, you're going to just click add listing. All right. So what's cool about the MLS is if you're missing a value or you did something incorrectly, it's actually going to bring you back to that page and show you. It'll show you a value. You can fix that value and then hit add listing again. It'll populate. Once you add that listing, it'll show you up in the middle of the screen here. And then what you're going to do from there is I can go to menu. I can go to change listing, and then it'll open up a new box and my listing will be right there in front of you. 5889 Bimini. I'll click on it and then I can add photos from there. You'll see a photo button right in front of you. It's super easy. You can add the rest of your photos. All right. So guys, kind of in a super simple way, that is how you add a listing on MLS. A little bit longer than normal video, but I try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. This is just kind of quick for you guys that are maybe having issues or have any questions or didn't know what to put in those values. So definitely check this out. Take the time to review it. Shoot me any feedback. And as always, You guys call me or Dee Dee if you guys need anything at all. Call, text, phone, email, whatever. We are here for you guys at any time. So give us a shout if you have any questions at all, but I hope this will help you guys out. All right. Have a great new year. Let's make 2021 absolutely incredible.